Porn can't hypnotize people. This is all conjecture. None of this is based in fact. This lady is just making stuff up. You want your wife to be fucked. You want your wife to take a BBC. I'm not gonna shame you, even though you might want to be shamed in a different situation, if that makes sense.
My guest is, in fact, Genevieve Gluck, a women's rights campaigner, founder of Redux. It is an unapologetically pro-woman outlet focused on gender identity. And Genevieve can shed some light on this phenomenon that frankly, as I've said on the show, I don't even want to look into, because I have been told, and then I've read on different fora that talk about this phenomenon, that there is a kind of pornography that is apparently a driver of the transgender identity that is so perverse that it constitutes a kind of hypnosis.
Do you see the shout out to Dylan Mulvaney? They still can't get over the Bud Light thing. They're just so mad Bud Light went woke. Love it.
Where men will say, I was a normal guy, I lived to be 41, 42, and I was basically normal, but then I fell into this kind of pornography and it essentially melted my brain. I had a nervous breakdown. Now I think that I'm a woman. So rather than have to expose myself to that, and then, I'll have to go to confession, potentially my brain gets melted, I can just talk to Genevieve about it.
My brain will be melted if I watch it. Are you afraid that you're gonna be trans, Michael? Are you afraid that you're gonna turn trans if you watch some porn? Is that what's happening? Ooh. Very surprising. Because I looked it up. I looked up this porn. I was like, what is this porn? Let me look it up. Tick, 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 tick. Oh, look what I found. I know what he's talking about. It's called sisification porn. I know exactly what he's talking about. I looked it up. I watched it. I was like, oh, okay, and that's it. My brain did not melt. I don't secretly think I'm a woman. I didn't find it sexually arousing either, so it didn't really do its job for me, Maybe I'm fine. Maybe I'm good. Oh my God, Bar's in the chat. I really want to show Bar the video, but you're going to have to rewind back and look up at DeSantis' ad, because that was some crazy stuff. They were literally comparing DeSantis to, Achilles and the American Psycho guy. And they're like, we're going to basically like, let's fuck up the trans. I'm in a chopper. DeSantis is your man to do it. Pretty fucking crazy. Pretty crazy. It was a historical ad. You should watch that. It's definitely, you can't rewind the stream. Oh, he's probably playing chess. That's what's happening. Yeah.
And potentially my brain gets melted. I can just talk to Genevieve about it. Genevieve, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you so much for having me on the show.
Can you just give not only the audience, but me a rundown? What is, among all of the types of pornography that lead to transgenderism, what is this hypnosis pornography?
Well, you touched on a good point there. There are many types of pornography that are sort of involved with the transgender movement. But hypnosis pornography is a little bit different in that it incorporates your lifestyle. So typically when we think of pornography, we think of it as something that is passive, that you're sort of watching. But this type, it asks you to sort of change your behavior, change the way you dress, even to start taking hormones. And it's sometimes called sisi-hypno, so that's short for sisification, hypnosis, pornography.
Yes, as I said, that's what that's what they're talking about. Sisification. If from what I understand and from what I've seen, it was like a scene where this guy walks in and there's this girl and she's like, take your clothes off. Yeah, put on this bra, put on these panties, and like the guy has like a butt plug in, and then like he takes off his underwear and he has like his dick in a cage and he has a butt plug, and she's like, now put on these underwears, put on these skirts, and she puts makeup on him and she's like, yeah, you love being a woman. That's what I saw when I looked it up. That's all I could really find on Pornhub, right? I didn't do too much extensive research, but that does to say that this is hypnosis, right? That this is like what's actually going to happen. Porn can't hypnotize people. Do they believe that like people are watching this pornography and it's just, yes, this is real. Correct. I've seen this. This is real. That people are just watching this porn and hypnosising themselves into being trans. I don't think so. Is there any evidence for this other than fear mongering? Don't quite know. Don't quite know.
And, I myself, I have personally been somewhat mocked for the suggestion that this is having a powerful impact on men. However, trans activists themselves will.
No. What's your research? Remember, everyone, the null hypothesis, this doesn't have an effect on men. One that matters, like in the public policy, because we're talking about politics here. We're not just talking, is there a guy out there that has watched sisification porn who then got hypnotized and brainwashed? I can't falsify that statement. Neither can you falsify that statement. But you need to prove, the burden of proof is on this lady to show that this type of pornography does indeed hurt men. And then you have to show that it does it in such a way that's even worthy of public policy or children or whatever it is.
Say things like
classic
it influenced
shifting
them.
the burden
There's a
of proof.
famous academic who wrote a book in 2019. His name is Andrea Long Chu, and the name of his book is Females. And in that book, he explicitly states that sissy porn and hypnosis made him start identifying as transgender.
Okay, so we found the person. Found the person in their book talks about this helped them identify their transgender. And what's so wrong with that? Right? Let's put that together. What's so wrong with that? A person went, saw something, realized, oh my God, I actually want to be a woman. They went out, went through this process. Their life is good. They're not depressed. They're not suffering. They're writing a book. They seem to be accomplished. They're on interview shows. They seem to be doing well for themselves. There's a lot of people who aren't, who are completely cis, heteronormative, who are struggling in life. Maybe the answer is that it's because they watch sisification porn that they were able to discover themselves, right? This is all conjecture. None of this is based in fact. This lady is just making stuff up.
So what this incorporates is, as you might imagine, in the hypnosis style, things like repeated mantras, counting down, and probably some of the worst, most regressive stereotypes about women that you can possibly imagine. The speaker will say to the listener or viewer, you are a dumb bimbo slut. You want to be a girl. You want to be a bimbo. Just all of that sort of terrible, insulting, degrading.
I wonder why she's not talking about cuck pornography. Everybody here knows what cuck is, right? Anybody here know? I'm sure everybody knows. Cuck is basically the idea that you want your wife to sleep with other men. And there's this whole part of like the porn world that involves people wanting, like, it's like you want your wife to be cucked. It's a whole porn side to Pornhub that exists with. Okay, I know it seems like I know about this, but I just, when I was looking up sisification, I saw other categories of other like types of porn that is similar, and there's cuck porn as well, which is like these videos where they have like overplaying them. It's like, you want your wife to be fucked, you want your wife to take a BBC, you want this to like, and it's like says that entire video while showing you images or whatever it is. That also exists. Is that like hypnotizing men into wanting to be cucks? Oh. Yes, Raj. We are talking about Pornhub hypnotizing boys to be women. That's apparently what Michael Knowles is talking about. So, yeah. Listen, a little bit of research lets you down some weird rabbit holes. If anyone knows me, you'll know that I can find the most niche internet rabbit holes and enter them succinctly. So,
terminology and language, which is part of the point. It's part of the thrill. It's that it's taboo, that it's degrading, that's humiliating.
So I guess the question that I have is it the chicken or the egg? Are men who already have these sexual confusion issues, are they seeking out this kind of pornography, or are they looking at relatively more tame pornography, and then the algorithm and their own addiction? Remember,
we need data. Let's see if she provides data or it's just nonsense. Let's see.
Takes them progressively into this realm where I can't imagine anybody. I can at least intellectually understand all sorts of weird sex stuff, but I can't imagine anybody intentionally looking up a kind of pornography that would hypnotize them, degrade them, and make them chop off their genitals.
How did we get to chop off your genitals? Whoa, that's a whole other thing. But yes, Michael Knowles, you will be hard pressed to find that in the world of human sexuality, there are people who look for pornography that shames them, just like there's people who look for people to shame them. Just like someone might want you to spit in your face and call you a slut or whatever it is. That might happen. People like this exist. This is a part of sexuality. This is not that confusing. There's people who want that. That is normal. I mean, is it outside of the bell curve? Sure. Is it normal? Does this happen all the time? Yes. And if you're one of those people, I'm not going to shame you, even though you might want to be shamed in a different situation, if that makes sense. Why does Michael Knowles loves talking about genitals and porn? For the same reason all these guys like to talk about trans people, because maybe they're all a little trans. I don't know. Maybe. Who knows? But, yeah, there's a lot of issues. Again, transness, and that's where we started the conversation with Raj, is that's going to be what I believe at the cornerstone of the Republican primary coming up. I really do believe that that's what it's going to be about. And I can't emphasize enough, from what it seems from that ad that DeSantis put down, the War Room ad, where it's just him as Achilles and as Giga Chad and as American Psycho here to battle and take out the woke leftist trans people, because Trump is apparently pro-trans. The news is consistently we're seeing the conversation about trans people bubble up again and again and again, just because of the way the media infrastructure is pushing that on their conversations, at least affecting our conversations. So that's what they're talking about it, because that's the talking point. That's where the base is riled up. That's what they care about. That's how they get clicks. That's how they get money. It's by talking about trans people. That's what's happening. The reason why I'm talking about trans people is exactly for the exact same reason. It's actually quite a vicious loop. But I'm trying at least to push back against this. So I'm okay with myself. No, I won't shame you. Casey, you're killing me.
That is very difficult for me to grasp. So which is it? It's
many things. So first of all, I spoke with some of these men who were trying to escape this addiction. It's sort of coupled. The hypnosis pornography is also coupled with the transgender pornography. You will very rarely find anyone who's just exclusively using one. It's typically both. And in a lot of cases with the men that I've talked to, I did a survey last year with some of these men who were trying.
Oh, so she did a survey. Where did she conduct the survey? She went to probably chat rooms. I'm just guessing this. I'm putting on my Mystic Mac hat, and if I'm wrong in the future, I will clip this clip and then say that I'm wrong. Okay? I will absolutely clip this specific clip. Mark me if I'm wrong about this, but I'm convinced that her survey was not just, let me just send out a survey to people who watch trans porn and see how many people are affected with this hypnosis. She was on a forum in an area where people were complaining about it. Okay, her face matches her argument, by the way. It's a perfect reality right now that existent. She did a survey in a community that already has issues with this. So we don't know where this is an actual effect. There's some people who might be who are struggling with the fact they like this stuff and that they might be trans and they have gender identity issues.
Trying to quit. And very often they started watching pornography at a very young age. I mean, around 12 or 13. And so the nature of pornography is to escalate. You need to keep seeking out greater taboos and such to get the same thrill, essentially.
Like any drug, you start out, you have a drink or two, right? And then you need 10 drinks, or you need, I don't know, heroin or something. So porn is just
They're going to turn our children gay.
Exactly.
People are raving about Genucell skincare.
No. You're not going to get an ad from me. Absolutely not. Fuck that shit. Oh my goodness. I was like, what just happened? He's trying to add me on his show. Oh, what is this for? Ooh, what is this for? Very apt to the conversation, I think. Genucell. What is Genucell for? Who knows? Oh, it's to make you less wrinkled, I guess. Before, after? He looks worse after. What the fuck is this? What do you mean? He looks like terrified after. Wait, what is this product?
Then women use Genucell, and for good reason.
What is this stuff? Who watches this show that he's advertising this
and
to?
powerful antioxidants for skincare results that work, guaranteed. I said I would not endorse the product if I could not try it, if I were not impressed by the product. And also, fellas, I know sometimes too much, even slightly more men than women.
Can we recognize that his skin looks better before than it does look after? Can we recognize this? This looks like, look, it looks worse. It looks worse. Before looks better than after. Am I crazy? I don't know. I might be crazy. Maybe I just don't know what good skin looks like. Who knows? Okay, but we're not giving you an ad. We just shout on your ad. That's what we do. Okay. Yes, I'm right. It looks worse before than it does look after. It's insane.
Cases, they had seen it as children, as 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds. Many of them had not sought it out personally for themselves. They had sort of stumbled upon it by accident, which is a trend we just see with pornography in general, and children viewing it, is that they often don't seek it out, but it's presented to them through things like social media. But there's also men who were just into pornography and then the escalation.
If you're getting into porn when you're 12 or 13, this might be a parental issue, right? We have to recognize that's not stuff that you generally want your 12 or 13-year-old boys to watch. I don't think I'm messed up, but I found porn also around that age, 12, 13, whatever it was. I'm old enough to know. It was on Newgrounds. We would play the mini clip games or the flash games, and you would scroll down and it would have like adult section. I would click on it and it had little ads on the side, and I clicked on those ads and I found my way into porn. That's how that happened. But the main point here is that, once again, we have to remember that she has not substantiated any of the burden of proof she's talking about. This entire discussion right now that she's having with him is based off of nothing except the fact that she spoke with people who were troubled by this type of pornography, by sisification pornography. There's no reason to think that it hypnotizes people, that it turns your kids gay. Your kids shouldn't be watching porn, but it's not turning you gay. And it's not turning you trans. It's not happening.
Continued. Some of them were into cross-dressing, for example, and it just sort of fell into their laps in that way. But there's also the problem of the algorithm. So in cases where this might be on social media, for example, it is on YouTube. There's plenty of these kinds of things on YouTube even that are not age restricted. And so if you follow the algorithm, it keeps feeding you the same type of content, right? So if you view one, then it starts to recommend it to you over and over again, and this can cause sort of this addiction. And pornography is known to be kind of dissociating in that it dissociates from your body and yourself.
Right. Where are they getting this from? Where is she just getting this information? Pornography is dissociating to whom? And he's just like, right, right, correct, yep, yep, they're turning your kids gay, trans, yep, Wow, so sad, so pathetic. Quite pathetic, actually.
Can cause actual body dysmorphia. So that's a known side effect of pornography addiction, especially among men, that it can cause genital dysmorphia. So when you combine those things, it starts to look an awful lot like what people call gender dysphoria.
So
what people call gender dysphoria? This person right here, what is not basing anything she's doing in science. Let's recognize that this human being is not operating with any standard of evidence. She has no research to back up any of her claims. Once again, she doesn't. So everything she says, same thing with the Tim Pool video from the other day. We Google everything she says, and if we don't Google it, then we dismiss it because she hasn't provided the evidence. She hasn't provided the sources for us.
You're saying, that's a very interesting point. When you're having sex with somebody, not to be too crass, but I guess that's what we're talking about here. You're with another human being, and you're both there in the flesh, in the room, on the bed, hopefully with your wife, and for the purpose of procreation. But you're there.
And look at her nodding to, yeah, with your wife, or procreation with your husband. Oh my God, these people. they like to always talk about, the progressives being regressive. They want to go back to the world where like they found out you weren't a virgin and you just can't get married anymore. That's it. That's the world they want to live in.
It's the real person that you have a real relationship with. With pornography, it's just phantom images flickering on a screen. And so you're saying it's not even that.
Yeah, it's visual stimulation. That's what it is. It's visual stimulation. People have been going to strip clubs and bars, and they would even go to pornography shop. Like people would do that. People would look at magazines like Hustler and Playboy. People would look at what's it called? Sports Illustrated. That's really what it is. It's true. Some people can develop a pornography addiction, but people can develop many other forms of addictions as well. Alcohol is a lot worse than pornography. Guns is a lot worse than pornography. We really have to remember that they're talking about something that affects about 0.03% of the population are diagnosed with gender dysphoria in this country. If you want to look up those statistics, which I can supply for you, just go to the DSM. If you go to the DSM and you look up gender dysphoria within the criterion, they tell you the prevalence. So just look up the prevalence. It's quite simple.
The pornography gets in your head and tells you that you're the opposite sex. It's just the very act of looking at pornography is an act that denies the incarnational aspect of our being.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, when you're using pornography, you're having sex with yourself, essentially. And
hey, guys, what's wrong with masturbation? Let's talk about this. No one should be ashamed of masturbating. Pleasing yourself is important. Having sex with yourself is a healthy activity. We don't have to feel bad about it. That's like, making food for yourself, massaging yourself when you're sore and it's feeling really good, taking a shower, taking care of yourself. You can get to the point where you're overworking out, you're hurting yourself, but masturbation, having sex with yourself is not the worst thing in the world. Really, don't attach any stigmas to it. That's going to make it a problem. Once you start attaching stigmas to sexual behaviors and you introduce shame, then you start having the necessary conditions, the underlying factors that make something become a disorder, make something become a problem in your life when it doesn't need to be. We need to learn healthy relationships with our behavior, healthy relationships with the objects that we deal with. That's what is important for us to create. Healthy relationships with the things that we do and the things that we use to do the things that we do, whether it be food. Like, I have a very bad relationship with food. I've been struggling with it my whole life. And it's not because I watched foodification porn where they shamed me and told me, you want to be fat, don't you? Eat this burger. It's not how this works.
And so there are cases, where men have sort of turned themselves into the pornography that they are watching. It's a bit, I don't know. It seems to me that with enough consumption of this and addiction to it, then the men themselves will try to turn themselves into the woman that they see in pornography.
Because maybe they realize, wow, this is what I want to be. This is who I want to dress as a woman, that I can't get sexually off if I don't do it. And I'd say that's something that you learn about yourself. That's cool. But again, they're pointing it at, the narrative they have in their head, and I'm not going to keep repeating this because I feel like a broken record. This turns you trans, this turns you gay. It's hypnosis. If you believe that you can get hypnotized from a porn video, go for it. Prove it, though.
So there's also a kind of a pipeline through, starting out to transition and then going on to
it's a gateway drug, guys.
Or make
it's a
your
gateway
own
drug.
Pornography.
Marijuana is a gateway drug.
Wow. No, you mentioned this is just so shocking that I figured that I couldn't be shocked by anything at all in politics and in these radical ideologies that are being promoted now, down to pumping little kids full of hormones and castrating them.
Yeah, that's not happening. Little kids are not being pumped full of hormone and being castrated. Not happening. Just want to let you know that's not happening. I want to look this up. I think how many people have gotten transition surgery? Minors have gotten any type of surgery for gender dysphoria. Amount, 1 second. We just get it in perspective. So minors is people under the age of 18. So let's see, according to Reuters, blah, blah, blah. Okay, where is it? Okay, so, okay, blah, blah, blah. Come on, where is it? 1,000 children under the age of 17 have gotten at some point puberty blockers. That's 1,390 in 2021. Okay. Hormone therapy, again, it's about 4,000. And the amount of people who got surgeries was 282. This is what they're talking about. Right? Let's just be real. This is the statistics they're talking about. This is the big boogeyman. Right? This is what it is. Because remember the perspective. When we're talking about like public policy decisions and the things that are actually going to matter from government, this is really not going to do anything. We're talking about a fraction of the population that is being targeted on the federal news and in ads saying that they're the issue with this country. They're the degeneracy. A fraction of the population. Where is the harm here? Nothing.
But I guess kind of the point of internet pornography is there's always something more depraved. And so I did read an analysis, I think perhaps in the Feminist Current, about how this kind of pornography is in a way a meta-pornography, because as part of the hypnosis, it mocks you and degrades you for engaging in an act that is intrinsically degrading, that is, sitting there in a room with yourself looking at pornography, which
literally
is kind of an interesting literary critique,
literally
and something that
that pornography hypnotizes you and then shames you. Michael Knowles, you're the one shaming them. You're the one who's shaming this population. They don't feel shame because they watch the pornography. They already know that it's shameful to believe this, and they couldn't be in terms with it with themselves. So now that's attractive to them. Right? There's people went out and made this porn not to turn anyone gay, but because they're literally expressing a type of sexuality. Right? People didn't sit in a room and go, we need to make new radical porn that's going to get to people. Right? That's how porn works. Porn is just like any other drug. You chase the high. Right? No, it's not like that. That's not what's happening. There's people simply who have these things, and they make pornography that way. Right? We're not finding this on Bazzers. You're not finding this on the big porn websites. You're simply finding it when you search for it. And there might be some communities on 4chan who deal with this, and she's encountered one of them.
I would be interested to read more about, except that it seems so perverse and soul warping. You mentioned, before we go, that there are other kinds of pornography beyond this hypnosis stuff that would appear to lead to the transgender identity. What are those types?
Well, within transgender pornography, there are a couple of genres like forced feminization. So forced feminization is what it sounds like. It incorporates BDSM. And so ostensibly, the man is being forced to wear women's clothing, and then, the kind of ultimate act of being forced to be a woman following that. But also they might be forced to...
Remember, guys, we're seeing shootings because they're playing GTA. Don't forget that. It's a very important thing to remember here. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, Google it.
Take estrogen. There's pornography that involves taking hormones. And there's pornography that involves surgery, even genital surgeries, even. So also there is something called female masking. This is when men wear female latex bodysuits, and they'll even gather in conventions together to participate in sexual activities wearing a female.
Guys, it's a coveted Tucker Carlson face. Huh? What's wrong with just asking questions? They're confused, making it seem that this is so outlandish. Oh my God, there's fetish porn? Fetish porn exists? What? Who would have thought? Oh my, I am shocked beyond belief. My name is Michael Knowles. God.
Bodysuit.
Like a
woman.
A latex suit on which there is an image of a woman?
Latex.
No, Michael. It's imagine a latex suit that has like boobies and nipples and like shapes and forms to them. Right? It's quite simple. Yeah, they have done a lot of research into trans porn. Maybe they're really into it. Who knows? Maybe this is a whole reaction formation. And for those who don't know, reaction formation is like one of those old psychoanalytic defense mechanisms where the thing that you speak about against out the most is the thing you actually hate the most about yourself. It was used to explain things like, pastors who go out on the pulpit and say, pray the gay away, conversion therapy, they're like in the 1980s, and then you end up finding out they're doing cocaine and fucking dudes in like trailer parks. Those same guys, that's what reaction formation deals with. And maybe she's dealing with their own part of reaction formation. I don't know the legitimacy of that, but that's what it is.
Silicone, usually anatomically correct, full bodysuit, if you could imagine.
I think I'm transforming.
Why are they so uncomfortable around sex? It's quite insane how uncomfortable around sex they are. Just talking about it. Did they not grow up? Like, did they turn 14 and then everything still had cooties? I don't understand.
To Tucker Carlson, by the way, my face is just got the brows are.
Oh, he even called it. He even called himself doing the Tucker Carlson face. At least he has some self recognition.
Furrowing. Wow. Okay.
Or he's looking at himself in the teleprompter, like in the in the thing, and he's like, look at myself doing the Tucker Carlson face. Maybe that's what's happening here.
That's called masking? Like you wear a mask?
It's called female masking. And I can even point specifically to a man who has written a book about this named Torrey Peters. He wrote a book that was nominated for the Women's Prize in Fiction, actually.
Is it a trans woman? She's calling her a him? Maybe.
2 years ago, and he wrote a book about this called The Masker. His book Detransition Baby was nominated for the Women's Prize. He's a man. I'm referring to him with he him pronouns, but he identifies as a woman.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
I know you.
Of course.
You'd also done some work on a genre of pornography. I assume it's written pornography, given the topic, that appears to be associated with the transgender movement, that involves children, and specifically in castrating and quote unquote transitioning children. What's that?
Okay, so please forgive me. This is a little difficult to talk about. So if I pause or,
Or if she begins to cry about Pinocchio. No, we can also bring that
did an investigation into the World Professional Association for Transgender Health. This is called WPATH, typically shortened to WPATH.
Very prominent organization.
Okay, standards of care for health of transsexual, transgender, and gender nonconforming people. Okay, fine. Let's see what
we've referred to them on the show a number of times.
Right. They set the medical protocols for the transitioning of children. And in their most recent standards of care document, which is the SOC 8, they incorporated for the first time the concept of a eunuch gender identity. And within that chapter, the eunuch chapter, they specifically cited a website that hosts and produces fictional child pornography that specifically involves castrating and sexually abusing children to halt them in a childlike prepubertal state. And in some cases...
Okay. This is when we look shit up, right here. They start talking about this obscure stuff that no one knows about, right? And this is how they get people. They bring up these obscure stuff that people aren't going to take the time to research, and then they kind of sit with it, and then people who watch it go, oh, did you know that they did this thing with the thing? I don't know what it's called. I don't have the resources, but Trump 2024, right? This is how they get them. But let's listen again exactly what that is, and we'll find it right here. Why I say, because a good sophistic sophistry trick is to information bomb, and just present it in a good way. So as she's talking about the specific claim, she brings up technical information, technical jargon, and it's this technical jargon that paints a veneer of intellectualism, right? This is really what they're doing here. This is the rhetorical tricks that are being played out in front of our eyes. So
identity.
SOC8.
And within this is
Positioning organization. We've referred to them on the show a number of times.
right. They set the medical protocols for the transitioning of children. And in their most recent standards of care document, which is the SOC8.
SOC8. Let's see. Let's go. Let's see. SOC8. Standards of Care, version 8. Let's see this. Okay. Oh, I'm moving the wrong thing. Okay, let's see. History and purpose. Maybe they're talking about a part of history and purpose. Let's quickly see this. Let me listen.
They incorporated for the first time the concept of a unique gender identity, and within.
Okay, let's try to find that. Let's try to find where they incorporate a eunuch. Chapters. Oh, can I view the SOC8 here? Excellent. Wonderful. Oh, all these people. Let's see. We can control F eunuch, right? A lot of professors behind this. Very, very interesting. I didn't even know this thing existed. Introduction, purpose, SOC8. Okay. Control find. How do you spell eunuch? EU, right? NIC? I think so. I'm sorry, my dyslexia is too much. It's spelled eunuch. Oh, thank you, everyone. I appreciate it. Oh, thank you, Casey, so much. Saving the day. Once again. Control find. Okay, let's see. Okay, they mentioned it. Okay, so let's see. Keyword, adolescence, eunuch. Okay. Page. Chapter 9, eunuchs. Let's see what are they talking about here in Chapter 9. Let's see. Globally, transgender encompass a diverse array of gender identities and expressions and have differing needs for different gender-affirming care. Across their lifespan, that's what we're reading right here. Let me zoom it in again to get a little bit so people can see it. There we go. When standards of care are absent for certain groups, this vacuum can result in a multiplicity of therapeutic approach, including those that may be counterproductive or harmful. The SOC8 includes recommendations to promote health and well-being for gender-diverse groups that have been often neglected and or marginal, including non-binary people, eunuchs, and intersex individuals. So far, I don't see any issue. Next. Has new chapters such as the assessment of adults, education, eunuchs, and non-binary chapter. Okay, let's keep going. Chapter 9. Okay, describe the unique need of eunuchs and how the SC can be applied to this population. It seems to me as if it was very clear that this person quoted this entirely out of context. Are there eunuchs in the world? What's the answer to that? Correct, it's yes. Do they have to be recognized for the medical community and to know how to take care of them? People who just never had, have lost their ability to reproduce or had some sort of injury or some type of maybe biological or androgen problem that I don't know about that is related to this? Maybe. Does the medical community need to take care of them? Absolutely. Okay, this chapter includes all form of gender identities and transitions, including but not limited to male, female, gender diverse, non-binary, agender, and eunuch. The population of, okay, we're still at eunuch over here. Chapter 9, eunuchs. Come on, I want to get to the chapter. Chapter 9. Okay, so what's happening here? Eunuchs, for those who chose to forego hormone replacement therapy. In the case of vaginoplasty, individuals shall be advised to lack, okay. See Chapter 9, eunuchs. Okay, we still have to go there. Come on, Chapter 9. All right, this Chapter 9. I'm just zooming in a little bit, so. Why doesn't it have the chapter on the top of every page? Okay, let's see. Haha, there it is. Chapter 9. Eunuchs. Oh, this is the beginning of the chapter. That's such a weird to start a chapter. Okay. Among the many people who benefit from gender-affirming medical care, those who identify as eunuchs are among the least visible. Interesting. The 8th version of the Standards of Care includes a discussion of eunuch individuals because of their unique presentation and their need for medically necessary gender-affirming care. Eunuch individuals are those assigned male at birth and wish to eliminate masculine physical features, masculine genitals, or genital functioning. They also include those whose testicles have been surgically removed or rendered non-functional by a chemical or physical means and who identify as eunuch. Okay, so there might be people who don't necessarily want to be, I don't identify as female, but who want to be, who just want to get rid of their masculine features. And they have whatever issues associated with that. That's interesting. It's an interesting part of the population. I don't know enough about it to speak, but I don't think that this lady is representing this in any way. Oh, an archive, eunuch.org. This is what she's talking about. There it is. We found it ourselves. This site can't be reached. Why not? Okay, well, I can't get there, so. While there is a 4,000-year history of eunuchs in society, the greatest wealth of information about contemporary eunuch-identified people is found in the large online peer support community curates, which was established in 19... attempt to maintain both medical and historical accuracy in its distinction of forms, although there is certainly misinformation as well. According to the website, blah, blah, blah. Discussion of prejudice about the historical eunuch, the invisibility of contemporary eunuchs, and the social stigma that affects all. I mean, if they're talking about the reality that there's people out there who exist who are like this, that's a recognition of reality. It's a recognition of reality. There are people who do this, who want to strip away this gender identity that they have of man, but they don't want to adopt that of woman. And we got to find ways to deal with that. Again, I don't know enough about this, so I can't make like too many statements. But what I can definitely say that she's definitely 1,000%, not speaking about this fairly, charitably, or in any way that lines up with what it's actually talking about.
In that chapter, the eunuch chapter, they specifically cited a website that hosts and produces fictional child pornography that specifically involves castrating and sexually abusing children to halt them in a childlike prepubertal state. And in some cases, some of these stories actually involved chemical castration, what we know of as puberty blockers, being specifically mentioned in these stories, and then doctors sexually abusing these children who had their puberty halted. And this story, it upsets me, as you can tell, but I mean, it's tremendously important and significant, I think, that a organization like WPATH not only cited this forum, but was working with members of the forum for over a decade. And I have had trouble.
Yeah, because they're researching what they were talking about. They were researching that subsection of the population. I could say the same. You could say the same thing about her. Can you imagine if she was talking to all these people who watch sisification porn and now talking about them? These people exist. You have to learn how to take care of them medically. What is going on here? How do you help them deal with their psychological ailments? Like if someone comes to you and they're suffering from a type of dysphoria, they're suffering from depression, anxiety. How do you help that person alleviate that so they can function in society? I don't know, because I haven't read the research, but they definitely do talk about it. And there's probably proposals that they're doing based on other research. I don't find it that wild. It's just science, This is how science works.
I've struggled to try to get this story out into the mainstream media because I think maybe it's so grotesque that people don't actually believe it, or they don't want to believe it, or I don't know. But it's pretty much out in the open. And the academics who are involved in that forum and partnered with WPATH have written several academic papers involving these men and basically suggesting that written child pornography is a form of therapy for them.
What if it is? Isn't that a thing that people talk about? Is that too much to explore? The idea that if you have someone who suffers from, they're pedophiles, they're attracted to like minors or whatever it might be, and then they have like VR, like fake pornography, or they have fake stories that they're able to like have an outlet instead of them actually doing specific things. Would that be that bad? Couldn't we say that's a form of therapy for them? Is it bad to study that part of the population? I don't really know if it is.
That was going to be my next question: is how is this legal? It's a form of child pornography. Maybe it doesn't involve cameras and images, but it's pornography. It's
but no one's getting hurt, right? They're not like literally. It's not actually. If they're actually spreading child pornography, that's got to be shut down. Let's be clear about this. No children can be hurt, but if it's a form of therapy for someone who needs it, then sure. Like, it's just text. It's just stories.
obscene content. It's obscene content that involves children. I guess I have so many layers of shock here, because on the one hand, you think, okay, this should be illegal. Isn't there some government body that should be clamping down on this? Two, WPATH is a very, very prominent transgender organization. The very prominent, supposedly mainstream trans organization is working with the people producing this kind of pornography.
They're not working with them. They're researching them. That's very different. They're trying to they're saying that there's a group out there that lines up with the rest of the science who behave in this way. We just read it. It's very simple what they're talking about.
That's shocking. And then I guess the most shocking thing is that the kind of stuff being described as a sexual kink in this pornography, as you describe it, that is castrating children and pumping them full of puberty blockers and cross-sex hormones, that's now policy at the federal level. So
No, it's not. Where did they get that it's policy at the federal level from? Is that what WPATH does? Is they just automatically become policy at the federal level? That doesn't make any sense to me. Yeah, it's just what is it? Transgender, gender diverse people, international protocol. Yeah, it's not policy at the federal level. That's not what's happening here. Oh, they even have a methodology page. Come on, you see, I love it. Development of chapters. Oh, this is cool. I gotta share this. See, anytime you go to websites and they start doing this stuff where they show their methodology, that's how you know it's lit. Always follow the methodology tree all the way down. Oh, it's so long though. Okay, we're actually not going to go, but this is where you can look it up. You can look up their methodology. You can read how they developed the idea, how they got there. I think that's quite an interesting read. Interesting. Okay, I'm kind of bored of Michael Knowles, honestly. Yeah, let's finish the video. I won't do that. I want ADD out.
the thing that's viewed as a dark, weird sexual desire in the darkest bowels of the internet, that's national policy.
Yeah, it's horrifying. And within that forum, there's about 10,000.
It's not national policy. I don't know why they keep saying it's national policy. It's not. It can't be positive. It can't be. No. It's not policy. It's not government. The standards of care are not automatically government policy. I don't know why they keep saying this. Where did they get that?
Written stories. So this forum has operated since at least 1998, but actually prior to that, it was operating on Usenet, and sharing snuff pornography through that route as well. And on that forum, if the 10,000 stories, about approximately 4,000 of them are specifically tagged with the term minor. So nearly half of them involve children in particular. So my question is, why isn't anything being done about this?
Yeah, why are we not stopping people from studying this degenerate society, this disgusting sexual perversions? We have to stop it. This is what this is.
And you did mention
grossed out
history,
by
right? You're
anything
talking
that's
about
different. This is what it is. We can finish this video. There's really not much more to it, except these guys are just Michael Knowles and his guests just super upset about whatever. But pay attention. Never supplied sources. Never actually dealt with the content of the material. It's just correct, Raj. Never once have I had interaction with trans people make me go to that direction or like see perverse stuff. If anything, it was like the most macho guys. When I was at NASA Community College, there was an individual there who came to me and he's like, look at this. He turns his phone towards me. He was like these masculine, like, I think he was Jewish. He was also lived in the same area that I lived into, and he like wanted to like befriend me, but he was also really perverted and like had this like machismo vibe about him. He just showed me his phone, and on his phone it was just a lady who was like, you know, standing up from having like a traffic cone in her butt, and then a bunch of jelly beans came out. That's the only time anyone has ever shown me perverse shit in life, and he was like the most like masculine dude you can think of because he found it funny or whatever.